So now that we have completed the process of setting up our spreadsheet, I want to bring your attention down here. Notice there are 3 different sheets in this, sheet 1, 2, and 3. We just completed sheet 1. Now I want you to go to the bottom of your screen and click on sheet 2, and you'll see that I have copied and pasted this little spreadsheet that you set up here. I copied and pasted it over here. The formulas are in here. See, if you look, the formulas are in here. I just copied it and pasted it over here. The difference is I have blanked out the marginal revenue column. And what I want you to do is look at your ideal output at 3 different price points in the marketplace. So in other words, if you could charge $10 for your yo-yos, how many yo-yos would you produce? Now to do that, remember your marginal revenue is what you are charging in the store, the revenue that you earn from producing, or I should say from selling 1 unit. So what we're gonna do is just add a number 10. You're gonna put $10 in each of these columns, or each of these cells rather, all the way down the column. And now you're going to take a look at your ideal output level. Remember the profit maximizing rule. You are most profitable when your marginal revenue is equal to your marginal cost. So here we go. We are going to find the place where marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost. And that would be an output of 7 yo-yos. And if we look over here at the profit, that makes sense because after that point, your profitability starts to drop off. So your output would be 7 yo-yos. And that's what I'm going to put here in this blue box. I'm going to have you do the same thing for 12 yo-yos and then the same thing for $14 yo-yos. So you're going to add $12 marginal revenue, $14 marginal revenue, and you are going to determine your most profitable output at those 3 price points. Once you've done that, you're going to come over to sheet 3. Now, sheet 3, I have taken and filled all these out for you, right? So basically what you have already done, I then took that and copied and pasted over to sheet 3, but now something has changed in the marketplace. Notice this up here. Suppose the local government imposes a $1 per unit entertainment tax on yo-yos. Add $1 to your marginal cost in the 3 tables below. $1 per unit, that means your marginal cost is going to go up by $1 so that you can cover the cost of this tax. So you're going to need to come to each of these and add $1. So 4 plus 1 is 5, right? And then 3 plus 1 is 4, if I could do that in my head, right? So you're going to do this all the way down, adding $1 to your marginal cost. But notice what is going to happen. Your total costs are going to change, and therefore your profit is going to change. And this will change your output levels. You'll get to a point where you find that your marginal cost and your marginal revenue, your ideal output, those things aren't going to match up the way that they used to. And so the whole thing is going to change. You're going to notice that you are going to now be willing to produce a different amount of yo-yos. So it says if you charge $10 for your yo-yos, how many would you produce now? So you'll notice as you go through and you add $1 at each point, you're no longer going to want to, that's only $10, not $100. There we go. You're no longer going to produce the same amount of yo-yos. Right, that should be 11, my goodness. So you're going to get to a point where your marginal costs exceed your marginal revenue when you produce 7 yo-yos. So what's going to happen is now you're only going to be willing to produce 6 yo-yos at that point. So you're going to scale back on your production. And if you go through and you do this, you're going to notice that it occurs at all 3 price points. And that's the lesson about cost of production and how it affects supply. If my cost of production goes up, my supply will shift to the left. I'll be willing to produce fewer units at every price point in order to maintain my profitability. If I get to a point where my marginal cost is exceeding my marginal revenue, it no longer makes sense to continue that output level if my price remains the same. And that is the lesson.